This story is titled, I just found out that my girlfriend slept with another man while she asked me to take it slow. It turns out her friends convinced her to keep casual options open, but to make me work for it. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Alright, so I, 27 male, met my fiancée Alina, 22 female, last fall, around Thanksgiving at my buddy Phil's birthday party. I wasn't even planning to go that night because I had an early shift the next day, but Phil kept bugging me saying there'd be tons of cool people there. Thank God I went, I guess. Or maybe not considering how this shit show ended up. So I'm at this party just chilling, not really feeling the vibe when this girl walks in with Phil's girlfriend. She was fucking gorgeous. Not in that Instagram model fake way, but just naturally pretty with these big green eyes and a smile that literally made me forget what I was saying mid-sentence when Phil introduced us. We ended up talking in the kitchen for like 3 hours straight that night. Just clicked immediately. She was smart as hell, worked at this marketing agency downtown, loved true crime podcasts, same as me, and had this dorky laugh that I found weirdly cute. By the end of the night, I knew I had to see her again, so I grew some balls and asked for her number. She gave it to me right away. No games. Next day, I texted her, waited till afternoon because I didn't want to seem desperate, lol, and asked if she wanted to grab coffee that weekend. She said yes, and that first date was just as good as our convo at the party. I remember thinking, don't fuck this up, Dave. This girl could be something special. Right from the start, I was serious about her. I'm not the type to mess around. I'm 27, done with the hookup bullshit, and looking for something real, you know? On our second date, I straight up told her I wasn't seeing anyone else and wasn't planning to. She seemed really happy about that and said she was looking for something serious too. After like our third date, I even took her to my parents' place for Sunday dinner. Looking back, that was probably too soon, but I was just so stoked about her. My mom texted me later saying she thought Alina was the one. If only she knew. Anyway, those first few weeks were awesome. I was planning all these dates, not just dinner and movies, but thoughtful shit based on stuff she mentioned liking. Like she once said she loved this local band, so I got tickets to their show. Another time she mentioned never being to this rooftop bar downtown, so I took her there for her birthday. I was putting in work, fellas. The physical stuff, though. That's where things got weird. Whenever we'd start making out and it seemed like it might go further, she'd pull back. She kept saying she wanted to take things slow because she really valued what we were building and didn't want to rush into the physical stuff before we had a strong emotional foundation. And I respected that 100%. Never pushed, never complained, never made her feel bad about it. I figured, hey, if she wants to wait till it feels right, that's cool. I actually respected her more. I liked the way she established her boundaries. And I'm not some sex-obsessed teenager who can't control himself. I actually thought it was kind of refreshing that she wanted to build something meaningful first. There were definitely opportunities for me to hook up with other girls during this time too. This girl from my office, Megan, was constantly flirting with me, and even straight up asked me to help her move one weekend. We all know what that means. One of my friend's roommates also made it pretty obvious she was down after a party at their place, but I turned them both down without hesitation. I was all in on Alina, and I don't do that two girls at once shit. When I'm with someone, I'm with them. After about a month of dating, right around Christmas, we had this really nice dinner where we officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. I was stoked. I remember texting my brother that night like, dude, I think I found my wife. So fucking cringe in hindsight. Things moved pretty fast after that. We got closer and closer, started staying at each other's places most nights, met all the friends and family. Fast forward to about a year later, I proposed on New Year's Eve. Got down on one knee at midnight with this ring I spent 3 months saving for. She cried, said yes, posted all over Instagram about it. We were even making plans to move in together officially, looking at apartments and everything. I legit thought I'd found my person, you know? Someone who actually valued me and wanted to build a life together. I was already figuring out where we'd put the TV in our new place, and if my gaming setup would fit in the second bedroom. I even cleaned out half my closet for her stuff and cleared a drawer in the bathroom for her makeup and whatever. My basement man cave was the only space I kept as mine. That's where I watch NFL games, play video games, and just chill. But even then, I was thinking about how we could make it work for both of us once we moved in together. Maybe add a comfy couch instead of just my ratty old recliner so she could hang out there too when I watched games. Her friends were always coming over to my place too, Like, at least once a week, Katie, Jessica, and Mia would show up for what they called group hangs. They seemed super nice to my face. Katie would bring soda for me, Jessica would always ask about my fantasy football team, and Mia would even help clean up after dinner. I actually thought they were cool and that I was lucky Alina had such great friends. They were always super interested in our relationship too. It seemed like they were hyping us up, asking detailed questions about our dates, what gifts I got her, even how physical we were getting. I thought they were just being supportive girlfriends. I really thought we were solid, like rock solid. Sure, we had arguments like any couple, but nothing major. Mostly just dumb stuff like me leaving dishes in the sink or her taking forever to get ready when we had someplace to be. Normal couple stuff. So last month, Alina and I went to this wedding for one of her college friends. It was at this fancy vineyard about an hour outside the city. Not gonna lie, I wasn't super excited about it. I barely knew the couple, and I was missing the Patriots game that afternoon. But being the supportive fiance I am, I put on my only decent suit and prepared for a day of small talk with strangers. Alina was an absolute knockout in that blue dress, and all I could think was, yeah, that's my woman rocking my ring. Everyone at that wedding had their eyes on her, and honestly, I loved it. Let them stare. At the end of the night, she's walking out with me, and they're going home wishing they were me. After the ceremony, we were all mingling before dinner, and I went to grab us some drinks from the bar. When I came back, I noticed this tall dude talking to Alina. Nothing weird about that except for the look on her face. She seemed uncomfortable, surprised. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something was definitely off. When I walked up, they both got kind of quiet, and there was this weird tension. Alina introduced him as Ryan, just some guy she knew from college. The way she said it was super dismissive, like he wasn't important at all. But this dude Ryan kept giving her these looks, and she was avoiding eye contact with him. I didn't think too much of it at the time. Figured maybe they'd had some drama back in school or something. We ended up at different tables for dinner, thank God. And I didn't see Ryan again until later at the reception. I was in line for the bathroom when Ryan came up next to me. At first, we just did that awkward dude small talk about the wedding food and the band. But then he asked if he could talk to me privately for a minute. Said he had something important to tell me. We stepped outside to this little patio area, and that's when he dropped the fucking bomb on me. He said he knew Alina from Tinder, not college. They'd hooked up a bunch of times around last Christmas. The exact time when Alina and I were taking it slow, because she wasn't ready to get physical with me yet. My first instinct was to punch this dude in the face, but he seemed genuinely uncomfortable telling me this, like he was just trying to do the right thing. He showed me his phone with old Tinder convos between them from last December, and even some texts from after they'd met up. The dates lined up perfectly with when Alina and I first started dating. Ryan said he had no idea she was in a serious relationship back then. He just found out we were engaged when he saw her at the wedding with the ring. Said it didn't feel right not saying something, especially after he overheard her telling someone else they were college friends, which was bullshit. He made it clear he's not looking for drama, which is why he's telling me all this. Before I could even process all this, he gave me his number and said if I had questions or wanted to talk more, I could reach out. Then he just walked away, leaving me standing there like a complete idiot, trying to make sense of what I'd just heard. I spent the rest of that wedding in a complete daze. Alina kept asking what was wrong, and I just said I had a headache. Couldn't even look at her. All I could think about was how she'd been making me wait, telling me she wanted our first time to be special and meaningful, while she was banging some Tinder rando at the same damn time. The whole drive home was torture. She kept trying to make small talk, and I was just gripping the steering wheel, fighting the urge to confront her right there in the car. But I didn't want to have that conversation while driving. Needed time to think about what to say, how to approach it. When we got back to my place, I made some excuse about needing to check something in my fantasy football lineup and escaped to the basement. I sat there in the dark for like 2 hours, just staring at the Patriots poster on the wall, replaying those early days of our relationship in my head. All those times I planned thoughtful dates, all the effort I put in, all the other women I turned down because I was so focused on Alina. Meanwhile, she's telling me to wait while she's hooking up with this Ryan dude. What really killed me was remembering specific dates, like December 22nd last year. I took her ice skating downtown, then to this nice dinner where I spent like $200. She kissed me goodnight at her door, but stopped things from going further. According to the texts Ryan showed me, she met up with him the very next night. The fucking audacity, man. I scrolled through our text history from that time, and it made me want to throw my phone against the wall. All these sweet messages from her about how much she was enjoying getting to know me, how special our connection was, how she wanted to build something real before getting physical. What a load of absolute bullshit. I cracked a soda and put on SportsCenter, trying to distract myself, but it wasn't working. My mind kept going back to those early days, questioning everything. Was any of it real? Was I just some sucker she was stringing along while having her fun elsewhere? Alina came down around midnight, asking if I was okay, saying I was acting weird. I just couldn't look at her. Told her I was tired and would be up soon. She eventually went to bed, and I crashed on the couch in the basement, unable to sleep next to her. The next morning, I checked Ryan's Instagram. Sure enough, there were some old posts from December last year. In one of them, I could make out what looked like Alina's purse in the background of his apartment. Fucking gut punch, seeing that evidence. I was dreading the confrontation that I knew had to happen. Part of me just wanted to pack all her stuff and leave it on the porch, block her number, and be done with it. But after a year together and getting engaged, I figured she at least deserved a chance to explain herself. Even though I already knew nothing she could say would make this okay. She kept asking if I was sick or something. I couldn't even look at her without feeling this ball of anger in my chest. After she pestered me enough about what was wrong, I finally just said it. Told her straight up that I talked to Ryan at the wedding, that I knew they'd hooked up multiple times last December when we first started dating, that I knew she lied about how they knew each other. You guys should have seen her face. It was like watching someone's brain trying to calculate the best response in real time. First, she looked shocked, then confused, then this weird calm came over her. But she didn't immediately deny it, which told me everything I needed to know. Instead, she went with, "Who's Ryan?" Like she didn't even know who I was talking about. Playing dumb. I played along to see where she'd get. Told her it was that dude we met yesterday at the wedding. Told her he showed me their old Tinder conversations and texts. Pointed out that these were the exact same dates when she was telling me she wanted to take things slow with me. That's when her story changed. Suddenly, she remembered who Ryan was, but claimed it was such a brief, meaningless thing that she honestly forgot about it. Said they went on maybe 1 or 2 dates, nothing serious, definitely didn't sleep together, and it was all before she and I were exclusive anyway. I called bullshit right away. Showed her screenshots Ryan had texted me of their conversations, including plans to meet up on December 23rd, the night after our expensive ice skating date. There were messages from her saying how much fun she'd had and wanting to see him again. She started crying then. Not like sad tears, but those manipulative tears women use when they're caught and trying to make you feel bad for calling them out. Started saying how it was all in the past, how it didn't mean anything, how she chose me in the end. I wasn't budging though. Asked her point blank why she made me wait physically while she was banging some random Tinder dude. Her explanation made me want to flip the coffee table. According to her, she made me wait because she actually liked me and saw relationship potential. Said with guys she actually cares about, she doesn't want to rush into sex because it complicates things, and she wanted to build a foundation first. But with guys like Ryan, who she knew were just casual, she didn't need to worry about that so she could just have fun. The absolute mental gymnastics of this logic. So because she cared about me, she made me wait and jump through hoops, while guys she didn't care about got the goods right away with zero effort? In what fucking universe does that make sense? She kept insisting this was normal, that lots of girls do this, that it didn't mean anything about how she felt about me. Said by the time we became official in January, she had completely stopped seeing Ryan or anyone else, that I was blowing this way out of proportion. I wasn't having it. Told her I needed some space to think, and that she should go home. She started crying harder, begging me not to end things over something that happened so long ago, before we were even official. I just kept repeating that I needed space until she finally left. As soon as she was gone, I retreated back to my basement. Called in sick to work the next day too. Just needed time to process all this bullshit. I couldn't stop replaying all those early dates in my head. How I thought we were building something special. How I turned down that hot girl from accounting, who literally invited me to her place after the Christmas party. How I spent all that money on thoughtful dates while this Ryan dude was getting laid for the price of a couple drinks. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. It wasn't even that she was seeing someone else in the early stages. That's normal when you're just starting to date. It was the blatant double standard, making me wait because I was special while giving it up to casual dudes with zero effort. Alina blew up my phone for the next 2 days. Texts, calls, even a handwritten letter she slipped under my door. Who does that? All saying how sorry she was for hurting me, how she should have been honest, but that this shouldn't ruin what we have now, almost a year later. After ignoring her for those 2 days, I finally agreed to meet up at this neutral coffee shop to talk. I wasn't planning to end things yet. Honestly, I was conflicted. We'd had a great year together, we were engaged, had all these plans. Was I really going to throw all that away over something that happened when we first started dating? Anyway, I met with her. Picked a public place because I didn't trust myself not to lose my shit if more bullshit came out. I got there early, grabbed a corner table away from other people, and just sat there watching the door, feeling like I was going to throw up from the stress. When she walked in, she looked rough, like she hadn't slept much either. Hair pulled back in a messy bun, barely any makeup, wearing one of my hoodies she'd basically stolen months ago. She tried to start with small talk, asking how I was doing. Did I sleep okay? All that crap. I cut her off and told her I didn't come here for chit-chat. I needed the full truth about her and Ryan. No more trickle-truthing or bullshit excuses. That's when she started crying again, and gave me this whole speech about how scared she was of losing me, and how much she regretted her choices back then. Said she'd been doing a lot of thinking over the past couple days, and wanted to completely clean the slate. According to Alina, her friends had basically coached her on how to handle me versus guys like Ryan. They told her to make me work for it, while keeping her options open with casual hookups. These friends, girls I'd hung out with multiple times, girls who smiled to my face at parties and dinners. They were telling her to string me along because I seemed like husband material, but to still have her fun on the side. One of her friends, Katie, who I always thought was cool, apparently said, and I quote, "Make him prove he's not just after sex by not giving him any, but you can still get yours elsewhere if you want." Hearing this shit made my blood boil. These girls were literally sitting around strategizing how to manipulate me while Alina nodded along like this was totally normal behavior. But Alina swore up and down that she only hooked up with Ryan in the very beginning, before we were official. She claimed she cut him off completely once we became exclusive in January, and hasn't seen or spoken to him since. "I know what I did was messed up," she said, wiping her eyes. "But it was all before we got serious. You probably dated other girls before we were official too, right? Why is this any different?" I reminded her that no, I hadn't been seeing anyone else. From our first date, I was all in on her, turning down other opportunities because I thought we were building something. The difference wasn't that she saw someone else early on. It was the blatant double standard of making me wait while hooking up with random Tinder dudes. That's when she hit me with some twisted logic that almost made my brain explode. "I was obsessed with you from the start," she claimed. "That's why I followed my friend's stupid advice about making you wait physically. I wanted you so badly that I was afraid of scaring you off by seeming too easy or too clingy. I thought if I made you work for it, you'd value me more. It was stupid and immature, but I did it because I cared about you so much." She kept going, saying she didn't care about my exes or who I'd been with before her. So why should I care about who she was with before we were official? According to her, the past should stay in the past, and what matters is that she chose me in the end. "I've been faithful to you every single day since we became official," she insisted. "Ryan meant nothing. He was just some guy from Tinder. You're the one I wanted to build a life with. That's why I said yes when you proposed. That's why I've been planning our future together." I sat there in silence for a minute, just trying to process everything. The coffee shop felt too small suddenly, too hot, too crowded with people going about their normal days, while my entire world was imploding. Part of me wanted to believe her. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was blowing this out of proportion. People date multiple people all the time before becoming exclusive. Was I really going to throw away a year-long relationship and engagement over something that happened when we first started dating? But another part of me couldn't shake the feeling that our whole relationship was built on this weird, manipulative foundation. I needed to know if there was more to the story than what she was telling me. "Is there anything else you need to tell me?" I asked her point blank. "Anything at all about you and Ryan that I should know? Because if I find out later there's more to this story, we're done." She looked me straight in the eyes. "I've told you everything. Ryan and I hooked up a few times in December, before we were official. Once we became exclusive in January, I cut him off completely and have been 100% faithful to you. I swear on my life." I told her I needed more time to think about everything, that I wasn't breaking up with her yet, but I wasn't sure I could get past this either. She looked relieved, probably thinking she still had a chance to fix things. Little did she know, I already had a plan forming in my mind. I needed to talk to Ryan again, get his side of the story without Alina's spin on it. I needed to know if she was telling me the truth now, or she's playing me. As I drove home from that coffee shop, I felt completely conflicted. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe this wasn't worth blowing up our entire relationship. But something in my gut told me I wasn't getting the full story yet. Back at my place, I retreated to my man cave again. Sat in my recliner, staring at nothing, barely even registering the NFL game playing on the TV. My phone kept lighting up with texts from her, but I ignored them all. Instead, I pulled up Ryan's number and sent him a text. "Need to talk. Got more of the story from Alina. Want to hear your side?" His response came back almost immediately. I figured there was more to it. I'm free tomorrow after work if you want to grab a drink. The next day, I met up with Ryan at this old dive bar on the edge of town. Picked it because I knew Alina and her friends would never set foot in there, so no chance of anyone spotting us and reporting back. Ryan was already there when I arrived. Gotta admit, it was weird as hell sitting down across from the dude who'd been banging my fiance. But he seemed genuinely uncomfortable too, which somehow made it slightly less awkward. After ordering a drink, I just laid it out. Alina swears you guys only hooked up in December before we were official, and she hasn't seen you since. That's the full story? Ryan nearly choked on his coffee, shook his head slowly. Man, she's still lying to you. My stomach dropped. I knew it. Fucking knew it. He sighed and said, Look, I wasn't even looking for anything serious when we were hooking up. I've got kids, you know? 2 boys from my previous marriage. I only have them on weekends, so when I'm free, I'm just trying to have fun. That hit me harder than I expected. Ryan had kids? 2 of them? And Alina was spending her time with a dude who was juggling fatherhood and casual hookups, while telling me she needed to build something special before getting physical. It was almost laughable if it wasn't so fucking infuriating. We hooked up in February too, he said, pulling out his phone. Look at the dates. He showed me texts from Alina from February 16th. We'd been officially dating for 2 months by then. She'd texted him first when he got back in town, talked about how much she'd missed him, asked if he wanted to catch up. There were more texts from the day after, with her saying how much fun she'd had and how they should do it again sometime. No question what it was. February 16th. I remembered that week clearly. Alina had told me she needed some personal space for a few days to figure some things out. I'd been freaking out thinking she was about to dump me. Even bought her flowers and planned this big romantic dinner for when she was ready to talk again. Meanwhile, she was fucking Ryan. She told me you guys were having problems and basically on a break, Ryan said, looking genuinely apologetic. I never would have gone there if I thought she was in a committed relationship. A fucking break. We were never on a break. She told me she needed personal space for a week. Not once did she say we were breaking up or seeing other people. This was full-on cheating with extra steps. But the real shit came when Ryan scrolled back further in their text history. He showed me messages from Alina describing me as this boring guy she was dating and saying she was only with me because I had a good job and treated her well. She told Ryan she wasn't even that attracted to me physically, but thought I'd be good husband material. Meanwhile, she was telling me I was the love of her life, the most attractive man she'd ever dated, and all that bullshit. Ryan looked genuinely sorry to be showing me all this. Said he felt like shit when he found out at the wedding that I was her fiancé, and that's why he decided to tell me. No guy deserves to be played like that, he said. All those times she was busy with work or having girls' night during December, she was with him. All those times she told me she wanted to take it slow with me, she was going back to his place same night. But the February hookup, that was the final straw for me. That wasn't just before we were official. That was blatant cheating, 2 months into our exclusive relationship. By the end of our meetup, I was just done. Completely done. Ryan and I actually ended up bonding in a weird way over both being played by the same woman. We exchanged numbers, for real this time, and he said to let him know if I needed anything. On the drive home, I wasn't even angry anymore. Just numb. Every memory of my relationship with Alina was now tainted. Every I love you, every future plan, every fucking moment, all built on lies. I felt like such a chump for believing her, for proposing, for thinking we had something special. When I got home, I went straight to my closet and pulled out all her stuff. The clothes she'd left over time, the toiletries in my bathroom, pictures, gifts, everything. Packed it all up in garbage bags. Not even nice boxes. That's what this relationship was to me now. Garbage. Then I texted her ass a picture of all her stuff packed up with just 4 words. It's over. Come get your stuff. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She texted asking what was going on. Why wasn't I answering? What did I mean it was over? I just replied, talk to Ryan. Know about February. Don't contact me again. She went ballistic. Blew up my phone with calls, texts, voice messages. Crying, apologizing, making excuses. Said February was a one-time mistake, and she'd regretted it immediately. Said she'd been confused and scared about how fast our relationship was moving. More bullshit excuses. I didn't respond to any of it. Just silenced my phone and went down to my basement. Turned on the game and cracked open a soda. For the first time in days, I actually felt at peace with my decision. No more dwelling on it, no more going back and forth. Just done. She showed up at my door an hour later, crying and pounding on the door. I took her garbage bags of stuff, opened the door just enough to push them outside, then closed and locked it again without saying a word. She completely lost it then. Started screaming through the door about how I was making the biggest mistake of my life, how I didn't deserve her anyway. Then she dropped this gem. You know what? I'm going back to Ryan. At least he knows how to treat me right. I couldn't help it. I actually laughed out loud and opened the door just enough to see her face when I said, "You know Ryan has 2 kids from his previous marriage, right? Have fun playing stepmom." The look on her face was fucking priceless. All that rage instantly turned to shock. Clearly, she had no idea about the kids. Not so eager to run back to Ryan now that she realized he came with a full package, was she? I shut the door again while she stood there speechless. Then she started crying and yelling again for almost 30 minutes before finally giving up and leaving. After she left, I made some phone calls. First to her parents, who were paying for most of the wedding, told them exactly why the wedding was off. No sugarcoating it. That their daughter had cheated on me 2 months into our relationship and had been lying about it until I found out from the other guy. Her dad was pissed. Not at me, but at her. He's this old school conservative type who's big on values and all that. He actually apologized to ME, said he was ashamed of her behavior. Later, found out he cut off her rent payments, he was subsidizing her fancy apartment downtown, and told her if she couldn't be honest with the man she was going to marry, she couldn't be honest with anyone. Then I called our venue, the caterer, all the wedding vendors. Canceled everything. Luckily, we hadn't put down too many non-refundable deposits yet. It's been 2 weeks now. I blocked her number, her social media, everything. Told mutual friends I didn't want to hear anything about her or from her. A clean break. Some people might think I was cold for not giving her a chance to explain in person, for not having one final conversation. But what was there left to say? She'd lied to my face repeatedly, cheated on me, talked shit about me to the guy she was cheating with. I'm not the type for dramatic scenes or big blow-up fights. When I'm done, I'm done. And I was fucking done. Instead of wasting energy on anger or revenge, I've been focusing on myself, spending time in my man cave watching football, playing video games, just healing. A couple guys from my fantasy league come over on Sundays, and it's been good to have the support. The worst part of all this? Football season is almost over, and I've got no one to blame my mood on besides her when the games are done. But at least I found out now, before we got married, before we bought a house together, before we had kids. I dodged a fucking bullet, and for that, I'm grateful. And oh, the funniest thing is that Ryan and I actually hang out sometimes now. He's a decent dude who got played just like me. His kids are cool too. We go to sports bars to watch games, and he introduced me to his hot coworker last week. Taking it slow with that, but it's nice to be moving on. Alina apparently hates that we're friends now, which just makes it even better. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. Thanks for all the support, guys. Reading your comments has helped me realize I'm not crazy for feeling this way. And yeah, I'm definitely not taking her back. She's been showing up at my work now trying to explain more, but I'm done listening to her BS. Some of you asked if Ryan and I are cool. Yeah, we actually meet sometimes now. Turns out he's a decent dude who got played just like me. His kids are cool too. Yeah, found out he has 2 kids from a previous relationship. Alina apparently hates that we hang out now, which just makes it even better, lol.